Dan, are you qualified for the Action Now Invitational?
I'm not.
What about the Regional Championship in Turin?
Also no.
What about the Arena Championships?
No, and I feel bad.
No, neither am I.
Find out how on this week's battlechads.
Hello everyone, welcome back to the newest episode of the battlechads. My name is Dan, and this week I am joined by two amazing people in call with me. I've got one of my regular co-hosts, Sam. How are we, Sam? You okay?
Yeah, I'm very good. If you guys are wondering where Josh is, I think Josh is trying to survive in the wilderness at the moment, is a fair way of putting it. But no,
Something
things have
like that,
been, yeah, something like that. Things have been good. We've had a pretty intense couple of weeks of Magic, haven't we? With PT, actually now, that stuff, and then moving on to, I guess by the time this comes out, Spotlight will be next weekend. Depending how fast Dan is on the editing trigger, it might be tomorrow.
Oh, super fast. Super duper fast.
But no, it's been a really intense couple of weeks of Magic. But some people on the call have had a bit more of an intense couple of weeks than even we have done. Myra, how are we doing?
Hey everyone, it's so nice to be back. I always love joining the battle chats, and yeah, like wow, these few months have just been a roller coaster of emotions, and I just want to share a bit of my journey and where my head's at these days.
Sounds perfect, Dan.
Mate, thank you again. We said it before the call. It's always great to have you on the podcast. Always amazing to talk to. Great to speak to in real life as well. So yeah, it is good. And you know, you were talking briefly about what you've been up to, sort of like in the last couple of weeks, and I was taken back. I was like, wow, you're like so busy and like so involved when it comes to like the Magic community. It's really great to see. So first of all, before we sort of start off, you know, we had quite a small tournament over in Atlanta, right, not long ago. We had the Pro Tour Edge of Eternities that Chad Magic teammate Jean Marco attended, and Myra, you were part of the testing process for Team Worldly Counsel over there, who got someone into the top 8 as well, right?
Yep, big shout outs to Noe who made top 8, but like just in general, just big shout outs to my team, my family, Worldly Counsel. We've put an astonishing 16 out of 17 players into the top day 2, and then just absolutely crushed limited. Like we had day 1 limited win rate of 70%, which is unbelievable.
Unheard of. Yeah.
Unheard of, absolutely. And then day 2, usually like that win rate just pivots, drops down so much because of like how much more intense the competition gets. But like even in day 2, we had like over 55, maybe even 58% win rate overall. And so I'm just so proud of like what my team was able to do. And I've just been so happy on the journey together with them.
Yeah, you've been smashing it, and you're part of the testing process for Goryo's and Esper Blink, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep.
Last time I've seen you, you've been playing sort of like an Esper shell with like either Goryo's or just like the standard Esper Blink deck that was popularized a couple of months back now, sort of like August, September time. So how was that? Like, you know, sort of like how many games did you play? You know, we want to hear all the tea, right? So how many games did you play with, say, like, we'll use Noe, for example, where like Neoform versus Goryo's and Neoform versus Esper Blink?
Honestly, I would personally say it's been just so many games I just couldn't count. But roughly, like, just to paint what like a Pro Tour team like testing schedule kind of goes. Like we usually start testing 2 months prior to the PT, and then we have maybe like 1 or 2 weeks of exploration of the format. Like we play decks that we're interested in, previous best decks, the popular decks, and then we basically start narrowing down our ranges. We start dismissing bad decks. We start focusing and tuning on the good decks or promising shells. And I would say like the month prior to the PT, I was playing maybe minimum 4 hours ish of like dedicated 1v1 sessions with my teammates on modern. So that is probably like, I don't know,
A lot.
a lot. Yeah,
Yeah.
A lot.
honestly. And
Oh,
yeah, like
nice,
Dan
man.
said, I was playing predominantly the Esper shells. Um I was playing the Esper Blink deck, which is what I brought to Mega Modern Cardiff. And then I started really focusing on Esper Gorios that I know you guys had. My really close friend and my lovely, lovely, uh, you know, just, brother, Il Nano, Adriano Moscato on to chat about Gorios.
Yep.
But yeah, I really tuned in on the deck that he popularized and, contributed to the team that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think in terms of just while on the topic of PT and modern and such, I think that obviously, Dan, when Edge of Eternities came out, we did a best of for standard, for modern, and for whatever else. And I keep saying it, and I'm going to milk it as much as I can, so bear with
Oh, here
me.
we
But
go.
I
Here we
have
go.
Quantum Riddler on my best card for modern. Now, whatever my expectations of Quantum Riddler were have been absolutely eclipsed by actually how strong that card is. The card's incredible. And I think that it's so cool to watch modern adapt and change in real time because Goryo's has been I think Goryo's is one of the only pre-modern Horizon strategies from when I was originally playing modern that still exists. That and Titan are probably the two big dogs that are still kicking around after Mon Horizons. But I think that I just remember when I played a lot of Goryo's, and Josh, obviously our missing co-host, plays a lot of Goryo's as well. I remember playing the deck and going, "Wow, this deck is great." It's just a shame we have to play Philology Archaeologist. I wish there was a better card than Philology Archaeologist. And now all of a sudden, this powerhouse is absolutely taken over. So it's cool to see Goryo's be so good because in the grand scheme of modern things, it is actually quite an interactive deck and plays. I know it's cheating or reanimating big creatures, but it's relatively fair in quotation marks. But one question I have, Myra, from a PT testing side of things, is usually or recently we've seen that sets go live in paper maybe a week or two before the Pro Tour. So, like we saw that I think it was Final Fantasy, there was a week's worth of testing, 10 days, something really, really small. Was the and obviously, please, I'm not asking for all the deepest, darkest secrets that you have, but what was the approach to limited like when you had because Edge of Eternities was out for about a month, I believe, prior to the PT? Was there a different approach there in limited, or is it just much more time to get things settled? How was that like? Because obviously you guys crushed limited. I remember reading those limited numbers as you said, and I was like, I think there's a typo here somewhere. And no, you just that good at the game. So what was that like?
Well, I think so. Your question is like just absolutely spot on. But I will say the perspective, the point of perspective, has to
Hmm.
be shifted a bit because
Okay.
Edge of Eternities was just such a different type of Pro Tour. Like 2 months
Yep.
until the actual PT itself is just unheard of.
Mhm. Yep.
So I would say this one was the real outlier, the exception. And usually, we would have like a preliminary discussion based on the early data sets that come out. There's going to be a lot of draft sim.
Hmm.
We draft mancer, where we try and do online testing before the set is out. And we try and just really get around the most, time and idea, and focusing on the pod draft dynamic rather than, card evaluation and, that sort of thing. Because one thing I've learned from Worldly Counsel, and I would say, even though I'm part of Worldly Counsel, I'm still a learner myself in terms of limited, and just the team has been just supporting me, but also all the teammates incredibly. So I'm not the best person to speak to. Eduardo is, and he also always does like a recap stream post PT, which is just absolutely fantastic that he does to the community for free. But essentially, rather than going over the specific just raw numbers in data or card evaluation, what's key is not the numbers itself. It's the story and the context that these numbers provide, because everything's contextual, is what I've learned. So it's just how to use that in the limited time frame is basically the key, I believe.
Yeah, that's a good answer, and I think that realistically, people complain about variance. We've got an internal Chad Magic joke about variance, which is sick, but I think that most players, if you put most constructed players in the room, like obviously there's skill involved, but like I would feel somewhat confident in any constructed round one. Like I can play this game. Let's give it a go. I've played one competitive limited event, and it's just a completely different board game. It's like its own game, and I love that, especially for Edge of Eternities. We saw the feature drafts, and which are amazing. Watching somebody who knows how to draft is like the best thing you can do.
Oh yeah, it's so good.
Yeah, watching people draft is awesome, but what you've said is just rung true with, I believe, the first feature draft. It was like blue-black cards, but none of the blue-black sub-theme. So they sort of made their own sub-theme through the context of the cards they were opening, the cards they were passed. And it was a pretty cool-looking deck. But no, that's cool. And I think that, they're just scary win percentage numbers, Myra. They're, what do you think, Dan? I don't think I've ever had a 60% or higher win rate in anything.
No, same.
No. Okay, good. This just Myra's a good player here. We're just sat in the background, but that's fine.
Yeah, that's it. It's Myra's world, and we're just living in it. That's all.
That's very true, actually. It's not bad.
No, not my world, not my world. It's the team's world. I'm just part of them,
Humble as ever. Humble as ever.
No. Just so glad to be part of the journey. So glad to be part of the community,
Yeah, and I think that it was such a big weekend for teams as well, because obviously you guys got somebody in the top 8. I think they were called Team Vents.
Yep,
Team Vents. They got somebody in the top 8, and then there was just everyone. The best bit is when you see those people win their winning ins, and the camera pan over to them, and everyone celebrating. It's so easy to feel a bit jaded because Magic's an unforgiving game, but it's that watching somebody you love be successful is almost as good as being successful yourself, right? That's a huge element of it.
It is good. It's sort of like well, I've never experienced it, but I can only feel like it would be sort of like a sense of it's called Magic the Gathering. It's more so part of the gathering. Like when you win, if I somehow make top 8, I'm going to turn around, see Sam, and I'm going to run and jump into his arms, right? And I'm just going to be crying with happiness. I really like seeing that, because it's stereotypical. It's like, oh, look at these nerds playing a trading card game, but then you pan to the camera after the win, and they're all just like normal people, and like celebrating the victories and the wins together. It is really, really wholesome to see. I enjoy it. It's even more cool when they were doing like the top 8 walkouts as well. Like when Noe came out, he was like, "Yes, let's go!" I was like, "Oh, that's so sick."
Yeah, it must be such a good feeling. And then to be fair, say that like somebody has to win the event. Everyone in that top 8 played really well, and it was super fun to watch. And the worst thing that happened for me was that Belcher won, because now everyone knows how to play against Belcher. Oh no, but we'll figure that out another day. We're gonna top 8 Myra, Dan. We're all gonna top 8 Spotlight Liverpool, right?
Yes,
UltraPRO top 3, yeah.
absolutely.
Sounds
I'll
good.
get the buy-in semi-final. It's fine.
That's
Don't
fair.
worry about it. You two could play in a semi, and then I'll play winner. Don't worry. Speaking of, anyway, moving on to the next sort of topic of conversation, we're going to stick with sort of like the modern theme. Obviously, there's been a tournament series held sort of like all across the UK at the minute. So we've got Axion now doing the Mega Modern events where it's like 7 to 8 rounds of modern. You go and you play, and then at the end of it, if you really place really well on a leaderboard system that they have, then you get invited to an Axion Now Invitational, which is, for those who didn't know, is a Pro Tour route. So if you top 8 a Mega Modern, then you automatically qualify for the Invitational, or if you get enough points on a leaderboard, then you qualify for the Invitational, right?
And
Okay.
if you top 8'd the previous year's invitational.
That's
oh,
right.
really?
Yeah.
I didn't know that one. That's cool.
And then, so the thing that I don't know about the Invitational is, where do you need to place to then get onto the Pro Tour? Do you just need to win the
First.
Invitational? Yeah, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. So Myra, we've had this sort of like tournament system going on throughout the year and all of last year too. Well, for a good couple of years now. Where did you finish on the leaderboard? Let's find out.
I came first.
Woo! So Myra's then now qualified to the Axion Now Invitational, which is taking place soon, is it? Is it after Antwerp? It's like December time. Yeah. So it'd be really good to see you with a lot of the other Chad Magic boys. We'll be rooting for you alongside with them. UltraPRO family, but UltraPRO first and friends second. Yeah, it'd be really good to see you. Obviously, it's still a couple of months away, but I'm very like time blind. So it felt like it was last week, and I was saying to Sam, I was like, "Oh, we've got loads of time to get ready for Spotlight." This was in like what, August, September, and then I blink a couple of times, and next minute it's like, "Oh, the Spotlight's next week. We should probably, get prepping for this." So have you already started your testing process on like weeding out the decks that you're definitely not going to play, or the decks that you're sort of like maybe considering to play, whether you just run back Gorios or Esper Blink, or even take like an approach from like Noe or someone else and just play a completely different deck? Are we looking?
Yeah, so one thing at a time. Basically, I'm so stoked to be on the Invitational again. Last year, I went to one Mega Modern. Since I study and live in Italy, it's like not a trivial trip to go. Back then, especially because I didn't have the friends to visit to or to crash at.
Sure.
I went to one event where I came 9th, but no, insane story wise, because Arch, who top 8'd that event, already had an invitational slot.
Yeah.
So it passed down to me.
Passed down, nice.
And then we were teammates, and that was just when I started joining Worldly Counsel and stuff. So it's come a full circle. So it's so nice to be back on the Invitational 2 years in a row. And yeah, so Antwerp's coming up, and my primary goal is to take each tournament one step at a time. So first Liverpool, and then Antwerp, and then the Invitational. But essentially, since the Worldly Council has an RC team, we've started testing for the RC. Like, we've sent 2 players to Houston. We're going to have the ANZ crew play this weekend, and then we're going to have the South American crew play next weekend. But we're already in the process of analyzing the data from the RCs, setting up tasks, figuring out the format. So I'll say I really like a lot of the decks at the moment. For example, Titan is just absolutely rewarding deck to play. It's probably the deck that defines the metagame. Goryo's is such a rewarding deck to play as well. It's a fair deck, like Sam said, but you have those explosive starts, you have those flexibility in your gameplays and deck building wise. So there's and also Energy had a resurgence playing and adopting the Vexing Bobble package that Titan is also playing. So it's just a very volatile and dynamic format at the moment. So I just have to take it one step at a time, figuring out and then mastering the deck. So I'll just be straight with you. I really like Goryo's. The numbers suggest like that it's on a losing downhill streak. But again, it's a really, really, really hard deck to play. So it's I just feel like the numbers don't give it justice. Like it doesn't paint the whole picture. There's always context, like I say. So, I'm high on Goryo's. I'm also high on Titan. And I'll just have to see what post Liverpool testing points me towards.
Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, Goryo's it's one of them decks like Sam said before. You can just play like cheat out a big Grizzlebrand and draw 14 cards on turn 2, or you can sort of take a different approach with the deck. I like how it can attack on both angles, and it's very, very effective in doing both of those angles. And again, like Sam said before, it's been sort of like a contender in Modern for as long as I can remember it being. Sort of like pre MH1, like going back to when Jund was an actual thing and Tarmogoyf was £100 each. So it's nice to see Goryo's come back with a bang with all the new Modern Horizons cards and with cards like Quantum Riddler and stuff like that. Titan's a bit of an interesting one because there's that copy pasta going around where it's like Titan has always been tier 0 and no matter the meta game, so on and so forth. Is Titan, I suppose my question is Titan as hard of a deck to play than what people make out? Because a lot of people will say that it's not been banned or it's not been completely wiped out of the format because it's a hard deck to learn, or is it just people have that persona on the deck and they're just sort of like, oh, it's Titan, it's just going to do like a 20-minute loop and then win somehow?
Yeah, so like you said, it's amazing to see Goryo's do so well, and Titan's always been doing well. And it's really nice to see like these old decks just continue to get good upgrades, structurally improve, innovated, and stay relevant in the format. That's like amazing part about Modern. But like, coming back to your question, I would say there's two parts to that question. So one, Titan is hard, but I believe it's not hard the way people perceive it. And what I mean by that is with the new innovations such as Saga, Spelunking, Scapeshift package, Analyst Loop, as well as the newly included Malevolent Rumble, the way you win the game has simplified a lot, in my opinion. Rather than going through how many Titans can I make, how many damage can I put, you basically have become a ramp deck that's trying to assemble as many untapper effects to all build towards that analyst loop. The way you're systematically and mechanically, building your game plan towards has simplified a lot. The combo lines have simplified a lot. The problem, or let's say like the hurdle, the obstacle in playing Titan is one, the actual mechanical, how do I say it? Mechanical, like the
system,
like,
on the core of it,
or more like the demonstration or the actual mechanics of playing is tricky. How to explain your loops is something you have to learn. So it's not the game, it's not the lines, but it's the actually doing the lines
Right,
and
okay.
cleanly in time. That's a little bit tricky. And then the most tricky part, I believe, when playing the deck is, like myself, is because you have a lot of different angles. Like you don't lose to just one hate unless it's Ashiok. But you just don't lose to like Blood Moon, just Blood Moon. It's good, but you have the Besapion for it. You don't just lose against disenchant effects because you're just so redundant. You know, you have the Sagas, the Amulets, the Spelunkings. So, and you don't just lose to like, you know, Obsidian Charm was just not good against you. But and Consigned to Memory can stop key things, but it doesn't stop the whole thing, you know? You'll still have the 6/6 in play that needs to be dealt with.
Yeah.
But it's playing around the different variety of hate that your opponent could present and have.
Yeah.
And how to play through or not play around them. And then how to, you know, execute. Yeah, execute. That's the word I was thinking of. Execute your game plan in the face of hate is the trickiest part of the title.
Yeah, it's that navigation, isn't it? The games are very, very tricky to navigate. I think that I don't buy that Titan's tricky to play, but as Myra put it, it's very technical, triggers, demonstrations, have to maintain a really good flow of communication, which is something people don't give a lot of credit to in Magic. Like very clearly communicating A to B to C, especially when because if you see the combo turns on Modo, there's just 40 triggers on the stack and a lot of clicking, and like you just don't get to do that on paper. But like one thing I respect with Titan plays is right. Okay, can I afford to play around Solitude? Can I afford to play around this? If I can't, how do I play? If I can, how do I play? I think that one tricky element of Titan as well is, we've said before, Goryo's has gotten new tools. Cheating in an Atraxa is pretty nice. I think that Titan has an abundance of tools. Are you going to play Ice Hill Explorer? Are you going to play Cultivator Colossus? Are you going to play your Luma? If so, how many of each of these cards are you going to build? Are you going to play Malevolent Rumble? Or, like, if you are playing Malevolent Rumble, do you go down to 2 copies of Scape Shifts or stick at 4? Like, I think there's a lot of theory into building the best Titan deck for that event or that weekend as well. And one thing I was trying to think of the other day is Ice Hill is a great card. What happens if you mill over your one Aftermath Analyst, or your 1 copy of Shifting Woodlands, or your 1 copy of Handwear Battlements? You've got to be able to adapt to that on the fly as a player and go, right, the game plan has changed from A to my B plan, or how do I play around that? I think it's hard to play in the sense that, you can pick up Boris Energy, put a couple of counters on Ocelot Pride and get going. But Titan just, I would say more so than any that it rewards the dedication and that knowledge. But then, as Myra said, the loops are now much easier, and there is actually a loop, which is pretty important. But yeah, just the ability to go, they could have A, B, C, or D. Which of these can I beat? Which of these can't I beat? And if I can beat them, how do I navigate that? It's really cool. I think that Titan is a really good deck to exist in Modern. It's one of the faces of Modern. And was it Houston, the most recent RC in America, I think? The chat hated Titan. Chat were like, ban it.
Yeah, they
But I
did.
think that disliking something is like has to have a couple of layers to it. But Titan's cool. I like Titan existing. It's a cool deck.
When it was sort of like first introduced into the format, it was some big event. It might have been a Pro Tour years and years and years ago. It was like, okay, I'm gonna cast Amulet on turn 1, bounce land on turn 2, untap it, float 2 mana, play Summer Bloom, play this bounce land 3 more times, Hive Mind Summoner's Pact, and the way that it won through doing that, I was like, wow, this deck is so cool. And then he banned Summer Bloom, and then the deck just sort of like evolved into pretty much what it is today, but
it is
with a few
remain
more steps.
tier
It was like, wow.
0/1.
Yeah, it's insane. And it's like every single time there's a beat, and I'm like, maybe Titan gets the ban, or like even just Amulet and just take it out of the back and get away with it. But it is good to see that it's still sticking about and people are still playing it and are having a lot of success with it. Myra, you had said before, like there were some decks that were in Modern's past years and years and years ago that have made a resurgence now. One of them that I've been very, very interested in is Affinity. I've seen a list online with cranial plating, so I was like, wow, I've completely forgot that card existed. It's really, really good to see him with the new additions to that. More importantly, Mox Opal getting unbanned. You've got obviously like Urza Saga, Pinnacle Emissary coming out of Edge of Eternities. It's just really, really good to see. And even Kappa Cannoneer. Kappa Cannoneer is in Modern. It's so good.
It's a crazy good card, Kappa Cannoneer.
Yeah. Like I've been looking at building Affinity, right, and then I see the price of Mox Opals, and they were like £95 to £100 each, if I'm lucky, and I'm like, wow, yeah, it's insane. I'm really, really happy with Modern. Like just looking on Goldfish, the three best decks you got three most played decks you got Goryo's, Titan, Affinity, and it's like, oh, that's just Modern from like 10 years ago.
2015? Yeah,
exactly.
2015?
We're just missing Jund and Burn. That's all we're missing.
Yeah, 2015, I would have been 12 years old.
Oh, Jesus.
Yeah, I forget how young you are. Oh my god.
Yeah, Okay, swiftly moving on from that. Not a fan of that. But you mentioned before that you approach Modern and you have like a testing period where you just play decks. Modern is such a varied meta game at the moment that some people, it's a pretty tough competitive environment. You know, when you look at standard, you've got 2 decks, 3 decks, maybe the push 4, right? So you know what you have to beat and what cards you have to beat them with, and etc. So even though standard's not in a fantastic place, I don't think it's abysmal, because you know, if you go to an event and you can't beat VV, it's like, well, there seems to be a problem at deck choice or deck building. Like, how are you not prepared for VV? But that's another conversation. In Modern, you know, we've just seen the emergence of Jeskai Blink as a new archetype. Looked really good, but when I look at that deck list, it doesn't scream at me. It doesn't say I'm now the best thing to be doing, and I think that's because there is no best thing to be doing in Modern. So when you have such a spread, it's at least 10 to 15 real choices, and maybe even 20 choices if you want some spice in there. I think it's fair to say. How do you start that process? When do you sit down and go, where do I start here? How does that work for you?
That's a good question. So historically, Modern's been my strongest format. Like whenever I do well, or like for example, the Pro Tour I queued for Seattle, I queued through Modern. I actually pivoted my deck choice from Scam to Yawgmoth, which was considered a very hard deck to play. I would say a week before the tournament with my testing team, and it paid off. But I would say similar to how you study Titan to be proficient at it and then go from there, Modern is a format that really rewards experience and knowledge, format knowledge. And that's also why, like you said, you see a lot of variation in decks or the matchup spread you could face in a tournament. And that's also why in a Modern PT, having a strong Modern, strong limited record is very key, because once you have a stable limited record, you're not as affected by the variance in the Modern portion of it. But I would say identifying the pillars and then identifying the reason why that deck exists competitively is the way I view or approach the format. For example, when Edge of Eternities came out, there was this brief period of like, is Riddler good? Or like, should Riddler replace certain cards out of Blink, for example, Ketramos? I believe the answer was yes and no, because Frog Ketra package was good, Riddler is also good. But then when you get faced with these format questions, I think about like the pillars. Riddler has become a pillar of the Modern format as well, just because previously, like the best thing you could be doing as a fair deck was Boros Energy. You know, the 1-drop starts, the really sticky threats like Johnny, Flage.
Mm.
It was really hard for a fair deck to overcome that.
Mhm.
But now, like Riddler, that one card just flips that completely because it's hard to attack through the 4/6. It's hard to outgrind the 4/6. Once you flip a Johnny, Quantum Riddler can just immediately attack it down. So it just lines up so well in so many different axes, which is why Riddler is a pillar of the format. And then I start engineering it, reverse engineering it. If that's the pillar of the format, so that's defining the format. How do I want to join that or fight against it? Same thing with Titan. If Titan's the defining thing of the format, how do I beat it or how do I join it? So I look at it from a pillar's perspective of a format. And
Yeah.
like that, this is what you mentioned a while back just now, but like you said, a lot of people hate Titan or hate watching Titan on stream. I think that's a big thing to do with it is the actual execution of Titan. Like some people can get, sloppy with the explanation of the loop,
Yeah.
hard to track the mana, etc. And yeah, I think in my opinion, I just love all the decks of the format. They've got
Yep.
such great taste, great characteristic to each one. And regardless of what you choose in Modern, if you have a strong reasoning behind it and just a real love for the deck, I think right now everything is just justified playing in a competitive tournament.
Yeah.
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 Fair.
But just having a reason and understanding that reason is really key, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a very good answer. Thank you. One more tricky question. I'm like Columbo, just one more. So, like, because Modern has such that wide range of decks, is there? So for example, I'm trying to think of an example. For right now, Modern looks like if you want to if you enjoy combo, something for you. If you enjoy control decks, there's something for you, etc. In every regard. Is there ever a deck that you would look at and go, you know what, that's not in my wheelhouse. That's not for me. I don't really enjoy putting Kappa Cannoneers into play. Affinity's like not really my cup of tea. Would you ever say that to yourself, or would you go, you know what, I'm going to give it a go and then decide after the fact?
So me personally, as a player, I try not to have biases. So I don't do that personally, but I do think that is justified because, like, this was something my teammate Mark said in the last meeting we had post Houston. But like he said, after like he was proud of learning Titan in 2 weeks post PT, bringing it to a proficient enough level to execute the combos.
Yep.
But he said after the second loss, he was just mentally out of it and
Yeah.
just wasn't playing the sharpest. And I
Yep.
think that really resonated with me because in a format like Modern, regardless of like how tier 0-ish the meta is, if you really love your deck and if you really enjoy playing the deck, like that in itself is a big motivator to actually doing well in an event or strive to want to learn about continue adapting and learning in the format. So yeah, I would say me personally I wouldn't do that, but it's a lot of people do it and it's something good and cool to see.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point actually, Dan, because you weren't at London. You were busy enjoying your weekend at home with your loved ones. I wish I'd made that decision. But interestingly enough, I've taken Magic seriously for about a year now, literally coming up to a year because I qualified for Bologna in November. So this has been, I promised myself I'd take it seriously for this year. And in London, I had the worst competitive results of my life. I think I got a little lucky, which I'll tell myself to help myself sleep. But I started my Axion Now main event at 04. But I really enjoy Belcher. I really enjoy playing that deck. And it was even at 03, I was having fun. Like, obviously at that point, the pressure is completely off, right?
Yeah, you can
Almost
have
like,
fun at that point. Yeah.
yeah. But like, even in round one, round two, like, I think that if I was playing, my other choice for that event would have been Neobrand, but I spoke myself off of Neobrand because I didn't know the lines well enough. And, we discussed how and when to play around hate. Neobrand has to share that ideology as well.
Yeah.
And I just knew that I would have been much more frustrated myself if I lost round 1 due to poor play or misunderstanding or a wrong line, rather than, and I think I would have ended up in that position where if I'd O2'd with my other choice, I would have been a bit more mentally drained, frustrated, because, Neobrand's a good deck. It's a bit tricky to play, though. It's got some really complicated lines. You got to think 4 turns in ahead, etc.
Yeah.
That's a great point to make, because I'm not sure about you, Dan, but me personally, I try and play everything. I'll do a league with X, Y, Z, and then whatever I feel an affinity for, I'll focus on a little bit. But just for some reason, playing affinity. There was a pun in there somewhere. I said affinity unironically, but I know I'm not going to enjoy doing that, so I've just avoided it. And I think that the ability to be able to, let's just give it a go anyway, and if it's not for me, we'll shelf it. It is really smart. So
yeah, that's something I envy of you and a lot of the other Chad Magic team and Myra as well, is that you can just, a lot of the content creators as well, is you can just log on to Magic Online, pick up any deck, and you can you sort of have the mindset as to what you want to do and how you play the deck. Whereas if I was to pick up, say, the Jeskai Blink deck, right, even though it's full of good cards, I would play it completely different to how both of you two would play it. And it's not necessarily a deck that I would rather that I would like to touch. There was we sort of share the same type of deck choice when it came to Mono Red Belcher, because it was like mine and yours love child in a way.
Yeah, the red cards combined with the bad combo deck.
Exactly. That's it. I mean, I did try to spread my wings a little bit during the modern season. I played Living End for the majority of it. That's what I took to Cardiff. I had a lot of fun playing it. The deck's not exactly tier 0, but it's sure is a fun deck.
It is a fun deck.
And you can, with that deck, you can go toe to toe with sort of the other best decks in the format. Like, I had a really grindy game against Olivia, who's a renowned Belcher player.
Yeah.
Against Boris Energy, you've got a turn 3 board wipe if all else fails. So it was a really fun deck to play. I enjoyed it. And that's the most important thing for me, is if I know that I'm not going to enjoy playing a certain deck, like land go control, I would not enjoy playing that. I feel like there's a place reserved somewhere terrible for those control players that enjoy playing that deck.
Sorry, Myra. Apologies. I know you've played control in the past.
But for me, it's very. And I know how to play an aggro deck very well. Or at least I think that I do anyway. So that's what I try to. Yeah, I try to aim towards what I believe my speciality is. But if it's a deck where it's got relatively fun lines like Zoo, or with Tron, or even Mono Red Belcher, like we mentioned, I'll be inclined to pick it up.
Living End's a burn deck.
It is.
You get the creatures in play.
If you think about it, every deck's a burn deck because you want to get your opponents from 20 to 0 as fast as you can.
Yep, sure. We'll leave that there. That's a good thought, Dan. But Myra, good luck at the Invitational. And I want to shout out Duffy, Jack, and George. So Duffy, interestingly enough, Duffy got 9th place, got his pass down in Birmingham.
Yep.
Jack top-8'd Cardiff.
Yep.
And George, I can't remember where George finished on the leaderboard. Apologies, George.
Third. He finished 3rd.
Nice. I'm glad somebody's prepared here, and it's not me. But yeah, George finished 3rd on the leaderboard. And obviously, I was at London. I had an awful day, but I was just happy to be at the house and sitting with George and getting that confirmation that he was safe. Because the one thing I guess we didn't touch upon, Myra, is at the end, moving into London, the leaderboard was super tight, wasn't it? There was no room for error.
Ultra tight. And it was tight because obviously a lot of people did well. But the border were really close. And then, like, my fellow Worldly Counsel teammate Callum, he had quite a poor result in London, poor run with Goryos, but he thought he was, I think, higher than me, third, coming into London. And he thought he only had to go maybe 3-4 to safely queue. But since the border was so close, he queued at 3-4, but only because a lot of the people right under him, for example, like Will Hall, made the top 8.
Yeah.
So got removed from the leaderboard.
So got their qualification, which removed them from that race that they were all part of. Yeah, that's but yeah, I think that like people missed out on a number of points. I can't remember the number, but I think like if we say 59, for example, something like that. Well, people last year were safely in on that many points, and this year people just missed out on that number, I think. So that's like, it's a really crazy race, and it was super fun to watch unfold in London. Obviously, from the losers bracket, I had a great view, but no, that was really fun, and like, I think that I have to say, like, no affiliation, but shout out to Axiom. Great events.
Yeah.
The shops that they collaborate with big stores like Firestorm in Cardiff, and there was Darkster in London, I believe, Myra. They're great shops, and Axiom run a great circuit instead of events. And I was able to catch up with Francois in London as well, who runs them, and you know, it's all really good crap, to be honest. And if you listen to this and you're on the fence about going to one, go to one. They're really fun, and at the end of the day, even their Modern for Goodies side events, people getting collector booster boxes for a 5-0. It's crazy.
Yeah, it's insane.
It's a league trophy. You know what I mean? Like, even if the main event's not for you and you do a SAM and scrub out, there's still loads of side events there as well. So Myra, congratulations. And top 4 for me is going to be you, Duffy, George, and Jack. Well, that sounds a little biased, but if that's a top 4, I'll be happy.
No, definitely. I agree. Best of luck at the Invitational. But before that, you know, you've got many other events. You've got Spotlight, which we'll touch up on in a little bit. Just a bit conscious on sort of like timing wise. But then we've got Antwerp coming up as well soon, so there's another PT route as well. Spotlight's really, really tricky to get a PT route because even though it's like lesser attendance, it's like just top 8 make a PT slot. And then all the other players that make like top 136 just get like a foil promo. So really, really gonna be a tough competition. Suppose we could touch on Spotlight now if you two are finished talking modern.
Yeah, sounds good.
So we've got these amazing GP systems that have come back after years and years of competitive Magic players such as myself begging Wizards of the Coast to bring them back, and you know they've done it. Fair play to them. We've got one relatively close to us. It's pretty much in our hometown.
It is in my hometown.
In your hometown, not too far from my hometown, yeah. So we've got Spotlight Liverpool coming up next week at time of recording. By the time this episode goes up, it will be like a week's time. We'll be at the event hall. Yeah, really, really scary. I think for me, like the testing process has been fun. A lot of people have been saying that the format's a bit stale. It's a bit cringe. There's like 2 decks. Maybe you've got an argument for a 3rd deck, which is worth playing, and then a group of like 3 other decks to make a 4th archetype to consider playing. But for me, it's you know, there's only one answer for me, and I think we all know it's Basic Mountains. That's all it is. So Myra, wait, before we carry on talking about Spotlight, you qualified for the Arena Championships as well.
Oh yeah, congratulations!
Which is insane. So we were saying, you know, you've had such a busy few months, and you've got a busy few more months coming up. But this was at 4, like you were double queuing while you're at 4 seasons for the Arena Championships, right? That's just insane. That's like dedication to the
That's really cool.
absolute definition. Insane. So when is the Arena
Arena Champs?
Championships?
Yeah, the Arena Championships format and date hasn't been announced yet.
Okay.
Just because, like, I was the first batch of players that queued to it.
Sure.
Okay.
So there's going to be the October one that just finished, and then the November qualifiers and December qualifiers all queued to the same Arena Championship. That's Arena Championship 11. But I believe it's spring 2026. And
Okay.
yeah, it's a crazy story. Like, I was at 4 seasons because, you know, summer break. There was also the modern main event, so I could like play and help my teammates that had the PT the week after or the 2 weeks after. Just last bit of data, maybe something interesting, some interesting techs. And yeah, so I went to it. Day 1, I played a team trio event with my good friend Paigonti. At dinner, just double queued the play-in, qualified to the day 1. And then the more the main event, I was just double queuing the whole day. Then, when I was heading back to the B&B with my friends, I managed to queue to day 2. And if you didn't know, if you go 4-0, if you go 4 wins before your second loss, you qualify to the Arena Championships. So it's like not that many wins, but like the level is incredibly high. You have like Nathan Stoyer playing. You have Andre Strasky always grinding the day 2 events. Kenta Harane from Japan always has been like grinding, just barely coming short on 3 wins. So like the level is really high. So I said to myself, I should be taking the early train home back to Rome and playing from home. So yeah, I did that and I managed to queue.
Nice, congratulations. And you're go on, Sam.
No, I was just gonna say that's absolutely sick. And especially like I think that I think the arena events are so hard because they're so open. You could, because like naturally if you go to a RC or a GP, there is a cap. You sit down, they announce how many players in the event. You say to yourself, right, I've only got to beat that many players or do so well and these numbers, whatever else. The fact that the online events are face up, as you said, 4 wins before you get 2 losses. And this isn't just limited to people here. People could be playing on their phones. They could be double queuing at 4 seasons. They could be laying in bed. They could have done nothing but 10-day. Because correct me, day 1 is unlimited and day 2 is one shot. Is that right? Like you can enter day 1.
Day 1 is one shot as well.
Oh,
it's the
okay.
That
Right. My apologies. Yeah.
So
but
day
like,
1 arguably is the hardest part. Not like because you could pair against anyone, sure, but like the border to make day 2 is 7-2. So 7 wins before second loss, I think, or third loss. So
is that best of 3 as well, or best of 1 for day 1?
Best of 3.
Best of 3. Okay. But yeah, just the fact that playing the online events are just, it's so much more of an unknown factor, isn't it? Like who you're playing against, how good are they, what's their elo for like if you're super interested. But no, huge congratulations. And like I think I love just scrolling Twitter on like the arena directs or the winner boxes or the ones you can win some cash on, because I love watching people's journeys. And I just remember scrolling through and I was like, I know that guy. Nice. Really, really, really good result. You just need to stop winning because it's actually making me and Dan look bad. You're gonna have to stop winning at some point, Myra. But
I'm fine with it. Yeah, that's fine.
Oh, okay.
You keep winning. Honestly,
yeah,
you're absolutely crushing it recently. And you were playing at the Arena Champs qualifier. You were playing Vivi, which is not even arguably it's the best deck in the format. I seen a tweet that Sean Goddard replied to earlier where they were saying like, "Oh, this build of Riddler is really really good," and it was just like a Discord message from Sean that he's like screenshotted. It was like, "Yeah, this version of Riddler, of Vivi seems broken, but so did the last other 5." And it's like I've never ever played another standard deck where it's sort of like this good. I think that I can't even think of one that's like this good that I can remember.
Probably the best standard deck of all time, I think it's safe
I'd
to
probably
say.
say so.
What would
Yeah.
you say, Myra?
Probably, I would say it's
definitely
close
up there.
though, because
Yeah.
the last iteration of standard was also pretty broken, like
Mm.
the Corey Prowess deck as well as Omni.
Yep.
They were really good too. So hard to say,
Yeah,
but
they're really good.
up there for sure.
Yeah.
Like, unfortunately, I've never played the Oko errors. Like, I'm after Oko, so
Yeah.
like I don't know how good Oko was. I do know it was like Oko winter or autumn or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
So maybe Oku's better. I'm not sure.
So Oko was somewhat similar to Eldrazi Winter in Modern, where sure this was the best thing to be doing, Oko or Temple. No, Ayavugan, sorry.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, people knew that was the best thing to be doing, but then it was what is your other. Yeah. So like there was loads of different iterations of Sultai Oko, Green Blue Oko. It was like, you were playing Goose plus Oko, but what were the other cards? And whereas VV just seems to be like 70, your 70s figured out. But I think it's quite diminishing return to discuss how broken those decks are because they're all broken. Interesting, like obviously you don't have to give too much away if you're preparing for Spotlight. I don't want you to give anything away that might be a secret. But what's the testing like because we've just looked at Modern, right? We've just said they're realistically 20 decks maybe at a push you can play. Standard, you've got 2 to 3. How does the testing process look any different, or is it just kind of the same thing but on a much smaller scale?
Well, first of all, since like not everyone, like Worldly Counsel is very international.
Sure.
So there's like a difference in number of players that's on the team testing for Liverpool. So we basically do like a cross team, cross team.
Sure.
So we have like the Worldly Council members that are going, and we have some of the Cosmos members that are going. So we have like Sean on, we have Frowny on, so it and Liam, who actually visited me in Rome before the PT, he's gonna be testing with us as well for Baltimore. But basically, the more condensed the format, the more how should I say, like the less exploration stage we can do, like we need to do. So we just go directly into, okay, is there any good ways to attack this deck? Yes. I won't say what. It's pretty cool, but yes. So let's just jam that,
Sure.
Yeah, that's fair.
Okay, that's fair. Just to Myra hasn't even told us off camera. Committed to keeping that cool tech a secret. So I guess we'll just figure it out round 1, Dan. But
probably we'll go up to him and then see what he's playing. It's like, that's what it is.
Battlechad vlog.
Yeah, that's it.
It's been an idea for a while, hasn't it, Dan? A Battlechat blog.
We've been talking about it.
Yeah, it's just
maybe we should just do it, Sam. I think
if I look into a camera for too long, it breaks. So it can't be me, and we can't give it to Josh because the camera will get lost pretty quickly. I think.
Josh's like footage would just be, I'm just gonna get some cards. It would just be him playing Legacy, just like that's
Josh
all.
would record the
flicking
vlog
cards back and forth,
and then realize it's been the front camera on all day, so it's just a really weird view of his face for 6 rounds or whatever. But that's sick. Is there anything else you've qualified for, Myra, that we've forgotten about?
I think it would be quicker to tell what he's not qualified for at this point.
Well, this year I did not qualify for the PT. I lost 2 win-ins in 2 different events.
No.
So I'm not qualified for the PT. unfortunately. But I recently just finished my RCQ season. Like I finally
Mhm.
qualified last weekend.
Nice.
So
Congrats.
yeah, it's interesting because like this season was pretty long. Well, I was
Yeah.
playing modern and testing modern and not standard for a while,
A
so there
lot
was
going
that.
on.
But then like I said to myself, oh, I need the queue for Turin. So I asked a few of my teammates slash friends to be like, I want to test this matchup. And I was doing that. I said to myself, I'll do this while testing modern as well, until I qualified to the RC. And yeah, so that kind of helped me just
Just focus. Yeah.
smoothly transition to the Liverpool testing. So that was good. I'm
Nice.
qualified for the RC, qualified for the AC, and qualified for the MV, going to Spotlight. So
Man,
Jeez, that's insane. That's absolutely insane.
it's very cool. And like, I guess the last question I have for you, Myra, is you are approaching a lot of formats with a lot of different things going on. I mean, I know that people complain about standards, and actually, shout out if you live locally to Baltimore, which is this weekend, I believe, or Liverpool,
Yep,
which is next
this weekend,
weekend, just go. Just go. Like, the EV on these events is pretty good. And, like, even if I think that as Magic players, we want everything, which is true. I do want everything, actually. But I can't complain about there being no competition near me and not go to the one that is on my doorstep. Even if
Yeah.
I go 06 drop, I have I've kept to my word and I've played in the event that I asked for, you know what I mean? So like even if you just go and play side events, just go, turn up, get your card signed, pop around the vendor, just support these events how you can, because it's easier to go to them when you have the opportunity rather than just never have the opportunity.
I
I
mean,
think
yeah,
is
that's a great point because like Alex, my good friend Alex Rohan,
Mhm.
um, I persuaded him to go to Mega Mod in London. Like it's just fresh off of his PT. He does have like he's Omega qualified for everything. You say
Mhm.
I'm qualified for everything? No, no, no. Alex is Omega
Yeah.
qualified. Like he's qualified to the PT, but I still told him, come hang out with me, come play the Mega Modern. It's gonna be fun. And yeah, he absolutely loved it. So
Yeah.
it's just things like that, the gathering really.
Yeah,
Tournament organizers supporting them,
Yeah. And
that's it.
I didn't feel great going into London, but I remember the first Mega Modern of this year, which was also in London, I think, same
Yeah.
venue. I
Yeah.
remember Francois coming and went, "Yep, we've still got the PT invite, but if you want us to keep offering that, calm down, get your mates to come down. You know, these things can be taken for granted, and I'd rather go to one of these and go, "Oh, not my weekend this weekend," than just not have the opportunity. And that's exactly the same for Liverpool. You know what? If I do rubbish day one, I've still got day two to play some side events in. I've got a big batch of cards I'm getting signed, which I'm very excited about. I finally get to get my Ellie and Grand Zenobite and Gristle signed, which is sick. Been waiting for those to get signed for a while, but just even if you just show your face and buy some bulk rares at events, it's better than not going.
Yeah, that's it.
Support
That's it.
your events. But
I mean, next year, like
mhm.
there's even gonna be the LTCs, right? The limited championships.
Yeah,
The
Yep.
qualifiers are gonna be on presumably the Sunday,
yeah,
and I'm like me. I'm horrible at limited. I've still got lots to learn, and I got to learn fast until
yeah,
those qualifiers come up. But like it's not for me. I'm still gonna do them. I'm so stoked because this is the return of the PTQ circuit.
yes,
Just
Yeah, that's it. That's
100%,
exactly it.
100%.
So yeah, like I told myself if I don't qualify for Turin, I'm still gonna go. I'm still gonna LCQ. I'm still gonna LTCQ.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's exactly it.
That was sort of like my mentality when we were in Bologna. I did like I think it was like 5 LCQs,
You did.
and I just went didn't make it. It's fine. And I just had a good weekend. I was playing side events all
You had
weekend.
a
I was
great
getting
weekend.
cards signed. It was outside of like the sort of like magic part of it, it was amazing. Like just going to a different city, even for Lille, this time last year, I qualified for that. That was my first RC. It was just great. It was like when you start playing Magic and you're watching Pro Tours and you're watching like GPs and stuff. You say, "Wow, I want to travel the world playing this game." And last year at Lille was sort of like my first taste of it, and now I just want 3 more courses of the exact same thing. So I think for me, it's like I just want to try and get to as many like RCs, even if I'm qualled, not qualled. If it's feasibly possible for me to get to all of them, I'll go. But we'll see.
Build up experience.
Yeah, that's it. That's exactly it.
That's it. Yeah, and like I think that I had no hope for Bologna. I had my deck settled on, and I was like, just this is going to be abysmal. But like the confidence boost that I started that event at 4-1, which was like pretty good record.
Insane.
And I was like so proud of myself. But there's also that like because when you do it a lot, you do kind of lose sight of that goal. And I realized I was like, oh, you can do this. Play well, play tight, and you are, I'm not the best player in the world, but I was like, you're good enough to do this, and I want to get better, and you get better by playing. Bologna was going really well until a particular UltraPRO gamer knocked me out of contention. But yeah, that's every time I see your face, Myra, I see that loss I had. I'm heartbroken. But no, I think that's unless anyone's got anything to add, it's wrapping it up and support your events and roll those dice, play them. That's a good point, Dan. Do the UltraPRO plug.
I don't have an Ultra shirt. Ladies and gentlemen, me, Sam, Myra, and the rest of Chad Magic are sponsored by the amazing brand, which is UltraPRO. We have been using their products recently, so we've got the UltraPRO Apex sleeves and their amazing deck boxes, which protect cards. It's very, very protective. It's like a magnet clasp. No water's getting in. You're not going to lose your cards or anything like that. Amazing. I've been using them. I've got some new sleeves that I actually bought myself. Usually we get stuff given, but I bought some new sleeves, and it's I can't remember it's like the Great Wave artwork.
The Hokusai art, yeah.
I bought them sleeves. They are so sick. I cannot wait to attend Spotlight Liverpool with my standard deck sleeved in these brand new sleeves. They are so sick. So UltraPRO, thank you very, very much for sponsoring the team and allowing us to use your amazing products. It's always an honor working alongside you, and I'm looking forward to the future that we have.
It's quite romantic.
I'm out of breath now. It was quite romantic.
It was very romantic.
I've been working on it. What else have we got? We have also a big, massive, huge tournament coming up in December. It is December 13th. We have partnered with Harlequin Games up in Preston in the north of England, and we are doing a Chads for Charity event. It's essentially a winner box. We're going to be raising money for charity, doing raffles, giveaways. It's sort of like pack per win on Swiss. We're going to do a top 8, chocolate top 8. And maybe a few side events, who knows? Space dependent at the minute, I think. So come down to that. There will be a link to the description for your tickets and more information. So click on a link. If you are wanting to ask a question on the show and me, Sam, Josh, or our special guest next time to answer it, there will be a link in the description for listener questions. Leave your name, your question, and we'll get to it next time on the pod. Other than that, ladies and gentlemen, please like, comment, subscribe, share with a friend. Follow us on Twitter. Myra, follow Myra on Twitter. Absolutely amazing person. Always a pleasure to have him on. If you want to shout out your socials, Myra, they will be in the description now. But if you want to do it now, feel free.
Yeah, so as per usual, thank you, Dan. Thank you, Sam, for having me on. I always love being on the battlechads podcast. Please follow my socials, Myra00_MTG on X. I'm posting my deck photos, my results, but I'm also trying to get free content down, as well as for the Japanese community. I've been doing translations on Metafy guides of my teammates. For example, Alex's Teamer Breach guide. For example, shout out to Lorenzo, like his VV Cauldron guide that helped me queue to the Arena Championships. I've also translated, but not all of them are paid. Like I also have free guides translated into Japanese. Thank you, Daniel, for having this opportunity to translate your articles. So I'll be having a lot of these in the future as well. And who knows, maybe in other languages as well. But shout out to Worldly Counsel as well. I wouldn't be the player or the person I am today without just an amazing community support and team support from all of my teammates. So big shout out to them. And yeah, big shout out to my sponsor, our sponsor, UltraPRO. Go to www.ultrapro.eu if you're living in EU and go check out these
Apex sleeves.
sleeves.
That's it. Thank you, Myra. Sam, any closing comments?
No. Should
Brilliant.
I? No.
No worries. Thank you very much for watching, everyone. I'll see you all soon. Take care.